The receipt was crumpled at the bottom of the laundry basket. I almost threw it away without looking. Almost. But something about the faded ink caught my eye as I was sorting whites from darks on that ordinary Tuesday morning. It was from Romano's, the Italian restaurant downtown. The expensive one where reservations required 2 weeks' notice. The date stamp showed last Thursday, March 14th, my husband Trevor's business trip to Seattle. Except Trevor hated Italian food. He'd told me 100 times that marinara sauce gave him heartburn. We'd been married for 9 years, and I'd never once seen him order pasta. I stood in our laundry room holding that receipt, my heart starting to pound for reasons I couldn't fully explain yet. The total was $187.50. 2 entrees, 2 glasses of wine, 1 tiramisu, a romantic dinner for 2 while I was home thinking he was in meetings. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe a client chose a restaurant. Maybe he'd force himself to eat pasta for business reasons. But the receipt had been hidden in the pocket of his casual jeans, not his work pants. His weekend jeans that he wore when he wasn't trying to impress anyone. I took a photo of it with my phone. Then I put it back exactly where I'd found it and finished the laundry like nothing had happened. Trevor came home that evening around 6, like always. He kissed my cheek, asked about my day, and headed upstairs to change out his work clothes. Normal. Everything seemed completely normal. We'd been together since college. High school sweethearts who'd made it work through distance and doubt and all the challenges that break other couples apart. He was my best friend, my partner, the person I trusted more than anyone in the world. But that receipt sat like a stone in my stomach through dinner. I watched him eat the chicken I'd made, watched him tell stories about his day at the office, watched him laugh at something on his phone. How was Seattle? I asked casually. He didn't miss a beat. Exhausting. Back-to-back meetings. The client wanted to go over every detail of the contract. I barely had time to eat. Where did you eat? Hotel restaurant mostly. You know how it is. Quick meals between sessions. He was lying, looking right at me and lying smoothly, like he'd done it 1,000 times before. Did you bring me anything? I asked. It was our tradition. Whenever he traveled, he brought back something small, a keychain, local chocolate, something to show he'd thought of me. His face flickered. Just for a second. I'm sorry, honey. I completely forgot. It was such a rush trip. He'd never forgotten before. Not once in 9 years. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay next to Trevor listening to him breathe, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing through possibilities. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe there was a perfectly reasonable explanation. But the lying bothered me more than the receipt itself. If it had been innocent, why lie about where he ate? Why hide the receipt in casual jeans instead of leaving it with his other business expenses? At 2 a.m, I got up quietly and went downstairs to his home office. The door was never locked. We'd always had an open-door policy about everything. No secrets, no locked phones or private passwords. I turned on his computer. It opened without needing a password, like always. His email was already logged in. I'd never snooped before, never had a reason to, but my hands moved almost automatically, clicking through his folders. Nothing in his main inbox, nothing obvious. But then I noticed a folder labeled Project Files that I'd never seen before. I clicked it. Inside were emails from someone named Alexis. Dozens of them, going back 6 months. The first one I opened was from 2 weeks ago. Last night was perfect. I can't stop thinking about you. When can we meet again? My hands started shaking. I scrolled through more emails. Plans to meet. Restaurants they'd tried. Hotels they'd stayed at. Lies he'd told me. Everything I thought I knew shattered in that moment. I read every email. All of them. It took me 2 hours to go through the entire folder. By the time I finished, the sun was starting to rise and my face was wet with tears I didn't remember crying. Trevor and Alexis had been seeing each other for 6 months. They'd met at a work conference in Portland. She was a consultant for one of his clients. 26 years old. Beautiful, based on the photos she'd sent. Everything I wasn't anymore at 34 with stress lines around my eyes and 10 pounds I couldn't lose. They'd been to restaurants I'd suggested we try, but Trevor always said were too expensive. Hotels in cities he claimed were business trips. They had inside jokes and pet names for each other. They'd talked about a future together. In one email from 3 weeks ago, Alexis had written, "Have you told her yet? I know you said you'd wait until after your anniversary, but I can't keep being the secret much longer." Trevor's response, "Soon. I promise. I just need to find the right time. She's going to be devastated. We've been together since we were kids. But you're my future now. Just give me a little more time to figure out how to do this without destroying her completely." They were planning my life without me, discussing how to discard me like I was an obstacle instead of a person. His wife of 9 years reduced to a problem to be managed. I closed the computer and sat in the dark office until I heard Trevor's alarm go off upstairs. I went upstairs and got in the shower. When Trevor came into the bathroom to brush his teeth, I acted completely normal. Smiled at him through the glass shower door. Asked him what his day looked like. "Pretty standard," he said. "Conference call at 9. Lunch meeting at noon. Should be home by 6. Lunch meeting." I wondered if that meant Alexis. "I was thinking we could go to Romano's this weekend," I said casually. "I've been craving Italian food." I watched his reflection in the mirror. He froze for just a second, toothbrush halfway to his mouth, then recovered. "Sure, that sounds great. I'll make a reservation." Another lie. He claimed he couldn't get a reservation, or that something came up. Anything to avoid taking me to the restaurant where he'd taken her. I got out of the shower and wrapped myself in a towel. Trevor kissed me on the forehead like nothing was wrong, like he wasn't planning to leave me for someone younger and more exciting. "Love you," he said. "Love you too," I replied automatically. He left for work. I heard his car pull out of the driveway. Then I sat on the edge of our bed and tried to figure out what to do next. My phone rang. My best friend, Courtney. "Hey, are we still on for coffee this morning?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "Actually, I really need to talk to you." I met Courtney at our usual coffee shop. She took one look at my face and knew something was wrong. "What happened?" she asked immediately. I told her everything. The receipt, the emails, the lies. 6 months of betrayal that I'd been completely blind to. Courtney listened without interrupting. When I finished, she reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "What are you going to do?" she asked quietly. "I don't know. Confront him? Throw him out? I feel like I'm living in someone else's life. Yesterday morning, I thought we were happy. I thought we were solid." "Were you happy?" Courtney asked carefully. "Really, I thought about it. I don't know anymore. I thought I was. But maybe I was just comfortable. Maybe I'd stopped paying attention." "That doesn't excuse what he did," she said firmly. "Comfort isn't a reason to cheat. If he was unhappy, he should have talked to you, not started a secret relationship." She was right. But part of me still wanted to understand, to find the reason this happened so I could fix it. "Save us. You need to protect yourself," Courtney continued. "Before you confront him, get your financial records in order. Document everything. Talk to a lawyer." "A lawyer?" The word felt too real, too final. Just to know your options. Knowledge is power. Don't go into a confrontation blind. I nodded slowly. She was right. I needed to be smart about this. I spent the rest of the day gathering information. I printed bank statements, made copies of our mortgage documents, photographed the emails on Trevor's computer, created a folder on my personal laptop with everything organized and backed up. The more I looked, the more I found. Cash withdrawals that didn't match his explanations. Charges to restaurants and hotels in cities he'd supposedly visited for work. A pattern of deception that went back even further than 6 months. How had I missed this? Had I been that blind? Or had I just trusted him so completely that I'd ignored the signs? There had been signs. Small things I dismissed. Late nights at the office. Weekend work trips that seemed excessive. The way he'd started going to the gym more often. Caring about his appearance in ways he hadn't before. I thought he was going through a healthy phase. feeling good about himself. I'd been happy for him, but he'd been getting in shape for her, for Alexis, making himself attractive for someone who wasn't his wife. At 4 in the afternoon, I called a divorce attorney, just to consult, just to understand my rights. The lawyer, Ms. Patricia Foster, agreed to see me the next day. Bring all your documentation, she said. Financial records, evidence of the affair, everything. The more prepared you are, the better position you'll be in. When Trevor came home that evening, I had dinner ready and a smile on my face. He had no idea I knew. No idea I was preparing for war. That night, Trevor was more affectionate than he'd been in months. He complimented dinner, suggested we watch a movie together, held my hand on the couch. Guilt, probably. Or maybe he was practicing his final performances before he left me. Either way, it felt like betrayal on top of betrayal. False intimacy when he was already emotionally checked out. "Are you okay?" he asked during the movie. "You seem quiet." "Just tired," I said. "Work stuff." He accepted that easily. He wasn't really paying attention anyway. His phone buzzed several times during the movie. He kept checking it when he thought I wasn't looking. After the movie, we went to bed. He reached for me in the dark, wanted to be close. Part of me wanted to pull away, to scream that I knew everything. But I didn't. I let him hold me because I needed time. Time to plan. Time to prepare. When he fell asleep, I lay awake planning my next moves. I'd meet with a lawyer, get advice, figure out my financial situation. Then I'd decide how and when to confront him. But I wasn't going to be the devastated wife he expected. I wasn't going to fall apart and beg him to stay. I was going to be strategic, strong, in control. Trevor had lied to me for 6 months. Now it was my turn to keep secrets. The next morning, I met with Ms. Foster. Her office was downtown, professional and efficient. She listened to my story without judgment, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. "Do you have documentation?" she asked when I finished. I handed her my folder, printed emails, bank statements, photos of receipts I'd found. She reviewed everything carefully. "This is good," she said finally, "very thorough. You have clear evidence of infidelity and financial deception. In this state, that matters for divorce proceedings." "I haven't decided if I want a divorce," I said quickly. "I just want to know my options." She looked at me with kind but firm eyes. "Mrs. Walsh, I understand, but you need to prepare for the possibility. Based on what you've shown me, your husband is planning to leave you. It's better to be proactive than reactive. What should I do?" "First, secure your finances. Open a separate bank account in your name only. Move half of your joint savings into it. Document everything. Second, gather more evidence if possible. The more documentation you have, the stronger your position. Third, decide what you want. Do you want to save the marriage? Or do you want to protect yourself and move on?" I didn't have an answer to that last question. Part of me still loved Trevor, still remembered the man I'd married, still hoped this was fixable. But another part of me was done, finished with the lies and the betrayal and the disrespect. "Think about it," Ms. Foster said, "but don't wait too long. The longer you wait, the more time he has to hide assets or manipulate the situation." I opened a new bank account that afternoon, transferred exactly half of our joint savings, $37,000, money we'd save for a down payment on a bigger house, for our future. Now I was using it to prepare for a future without him. I also called our credit card companies and removed Trevor as an authorized user on my personal cards. Changed passwords on my email and personal accounts. Started separating our digital lives. Each step felt like removing a piece of the life we'd built together. Each action made the situation more real. When Trevor came home that evening, I was cooking dinner like everything was normal. He kissed my cheek, loosened his tie, and asked about my day. "Fine," I said. "Yours?" Long. The client meeting ran over. Then I had to deal with some contract issues. Another lie, probably. I'd learned to hear them now. The slight hesitation. The too much detail. The casual tone that felt rehearsed. "Oh, by the way," I said casually, I called Romano's about a reservation this weekend. They said you were just there last Thursday. Small world, right? His face went pale. Just for a second. Then he recovered with a laugh that sounded forced. Oh, right. I forgot to mention. The client wanted to go there. I couldn't exactly say no. I thought you said you ate at the hotel restaurant. Pause. A beat too long. I did. Most nights. But Thursday we went out. With your client? Yes. Why, all the questions. His tone shifted. Defensive now. No reason. Just curious. I smiled sweetly. Dinner's ready. We ate in tense silence. Trevor kept glancing at me like he was trying to figure out if I suspected something. I kept my face neutral, pleasant, giving nothing away. After dinner, his phone buzzed. He checked it quickly, then stood up. I need to make a work call. I'll be in my office. I watched him leave. Then I quietly followed and stood outside his office door. It wasn't fully closed. I could hear his voice. No, I don't think she knows. I don't know how she knew about Romano's. Maybe she really did just call for a reservation. I'm being careful. Look, I told you I need more time. Yes, I want to be with you. But I have to do this right. I know you're frustrated. I am too. Just trust me. Please. He was talking to Alexis, reassuring her, promising her a future while lying to me about the present. I walked back to the kitchen before he finished his call. My hands were shaking, not from fear or sadness anymore, from anger, pure, white-hot anger. Trevor came back 10 minutes later, looking relaxed. Sorry about that. Work crisis. Everything okay? I asked. Yeah, all handled. He smiled. Want to watch something? Actually, I'm pretty tired. I think I'll head to bed early. I'll come up soon. I went upstairs and locked myself in the bathroom, sat on the edge of the tub, and let the rage flow through me. This man I'd loved for 15 years was systematically destroying our life while pretending everything was fine. No more. I was done playing along. The next day, I hired a private investigator. Ms. Foster had recommended someone, a retired police detective named Harrison Cole who specialized in infidelity cases. I met him at a diner across town where Trevor would never go. Harrison was in his 50s, professional but approachable. Tell me what you need, he said. I need proof. Photos, videos, detailed reports. Everything that will hold up in court if it comes to that. You already have emails. What more do you need? I need to know everything. Where they meet. How often? If there's anyone else involved. I need to know the full scope of what he's been doing. Harrison nodded. Give me a week. I'll get you everything. I gave him Trevor's schedule, his car description, his typical patterns. Harrison took notes efficiently, asking sharp questions. One more thing, I said. I want to know about his finances. If he's been hiding money or making plans I don't know about. That's trickier, but I know people who can help. It'll cost extra. I don't care about the cost. I need to know what I'm dealing with. We shook hands. I paid him a retainer. Then I drove home feeling like I'd taken control back. Trevor had the affair, but I had the knowledge. And knowledge was power. That weekend, Trevor said he had to go into the office for a few hours on Saturday. Big deadline, he explained. I'm sorry. I know we planned to do stuff together. It's fine, I said. I have errands anyway. He left around 9 in the morning. I waited 30 minutes, then followed him. Not directly. I stayed far enough back that he wouldn't notice. He didn't go to the office. He drove to an apartment complex across town, parked and went inside. I sat in my car watching the building. An hour later, he came out with a woman. Young, beautiful, exactly like her photos. Alexis. They got his car holding hands, laughing together like they didn't have a care in the world, like I didn't exist. I followed them to a park, watched them walk together, stop at a coffee cart, kiss in broad daylight, where anyone could see them. My phone buzzed. A text from Trevor. Meeting running long. Probably won't be home until after lunch. Love you. I took photos. Lots of them. Trevor and Alexis holding hands. Kissing. looking at each other like they were the only two people in the world. Then I drove home and waited. When Trevor came back at 2 in the afternoon, he looked relaxed, happy, like his morning of lies had been refreshing. How was work? I asked. Productive. Got a lot done. He kissed my forehead. What did you do? Just errands. Boring stuff. He went upstairs to change. I stayed in the kitchen looking at the photos on my phone. Evidence. Proof. Power. Harrison called me Monday morning. I have preliminary findings. Can you meet? We met at the same diner. He handed me a folder. This is just a beginning, but I thought you should see it now. Inside were photos similar to the ones I'd taken. Trevor and Alexis at restaurants, entering hotels, walking through parks. A detailed log of their meetings over the past week. They meet 3 times a week minimum, Harrison explained. Usually lunch, sometimes evenings when he claims to be working late. They've been to 6 different hotels in the past month. Hotels? My stomach turned. I thought it was just dinners and dates. It's more than that. I have records of hotel charges on a credit card you probably don't know about. He slid another paper across. A credit card statement in Trevor's name, but not one linked to our joint accounts. A separate card with charges to hotels, jewelry stores, expensive restaurants. He opened this 2 months ago, Harrison continued. It's hidden. The statements go to his office email, not your home address. He's been careful. How much has he spent? About $8,000 in 2 months. Money we didn't have. Money he'd hidden from me while we discussed budgets and savings and being careful with expenses. There's more, Harrison said. He's been looking at apartments. I tracked him to 3 different property viewings last week. The room tilted. He's planning to move out? Looks like it. 1-bedroom places. Nice areas. Places a single guy would live. Or a guy planning to move his girlfriend in. I drove home in a daze. The betrayal kept getting worse. Layer after layer of lies and deception. This wasn't just an affair. It was a complete double life. Trevor was home when I arrived. He was making dinner, actually making an effort, probably still feeling guilty. Hey, honey, he said cheerfully. I'm making your favorite. Chicken piccata. I stood in the doorway, watching him cook. This man I'd loved for so long. This stranger who'd been playing me for months. We need to talk, I said. He turned, spatula in hand. About what? About Romanos. About Alexis. About the last 6 months. All the color drained from his face. The spatula clattered to the floor. What are you? He couldn't form a sentence. I know everything, Trevor. I've known for over a week. I've been watching you, gathering evidence, preparing. He slumped against the counter. How did you find out? A receipt. One small detail. A crumpled receipt in your jeans from Romano's when you were supposedly in Seattle. He closed his eyes. I can explain. Can you? Can you explain 6 months of lying? Hotels? Secret credit cards? Looking at apartments behind my back. His eyes snapped open. How do you know about? I hired an investigator. I have photos, credit card statements, a log of every time you met her. Everything. He sank into a chair, his head in his hands. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Are you going to say anything? I finally asked, what do you want me to say? I want you to tell me the truth, I said. All of it. No more lies. Trevor looked up at me, and for the first time, I saw something real in his eyes. Not guilt, not regret, almost relief. I met her at the Portland conference last September. He began quietly. We just clicked, started talking after a presentation, had dinner that night. Nothing happened then, just talking. But something happened later. A month later, she came to Seattle for work. She called me. We met for coffee, then dinner, and then he trailed off. Then you started an affair. I didn't plan it. I wasn't looking for someone else. But being with her made me feel alive again. Young, excited, all the things I'd stopped feeling with you. The words cut deep, but I kept my face neutral. So this is my fault. No, I'm not saying that. I'm trying to explain. When were you going to tell me? I asked, or were you just going to keep lying until you moved into one of those apartments you've been looking at? He flinched. I was going to tell you. After our anniversary. I didn't want to ruin that for you. How considerate. My voice dripped with sarcasm. So you were going to give me one last nice anniversary before destroying my life? I didn't know how to do it. How to tell you that I'd fallen in love with someone else. That our marriage had become comfortable, safe, but not passionate anymore. Comfortable isn't enough? I asked. 9 years of partnership and friendship and support isn't enough? I wanted more than enough, he said quietly. I wanted extraordinary. The honest answer hurt more than any lie. We sat in silence for several minutes. The chicken in the pan had burned. Neither of us moved to turn off the stove. What happens now? Trevor finally asked. You move out, I said. Tonight, pack what you need. The rest we'll figure out with lawyers. We don't need lawyers. We can work this out like adults. I laughed bitterly. You've been lying to me for 6 months, hiding money, planning a future without me, and you think we don't need lawyers? I never wanted to hurt you, but you did. You hurt me in the worst possible way. You made me feel crazy for noticing small things. You made me doubt myself while you were betraying me every single day. He stood up and moved toward me. I stepped back. Don't, I said firmly. Don't touch me. Don't try to comfort me. You lost that right. Where am I supposed to go? I don't care. Hotel. Alexis's place. That apartment you've been looking at. Anywhere but here. Can we please talk about this? Really talk? Maybe we can work through. No. The word came out sharp and final. There's nothing to work through. You made your choice. You chose her. You chose lies. You chose to destroy what we had. Now you get to live with that choice. He stared at me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. I'll pack a bag. I watched him walk upstairs. Heard him moving around in our bedroom. 15 years together, ending with clothes being thrown into a suitcase. Courtney had been right. Knowledge was power. And preparation had saved me from falling apart. Trevor came downstairs 30 minutes later with a suitcase and his laptop bag. He stood in the doorway looking at me like he wanted to say something profound. Some final words that would make this less ugly. I really did love you, he said quietly. I still do in my own way. Your way isn't enough, I replied. Real love doesn't lie, doesn't betray, doesn't hide and deceive. I'm sorry for everything. So am I? He left. I heard his car start in the driveway, watched through the window as he pulled away from our house for the last time as my husband. Then I sat on the couch and waited for the tears. But they didn't come. Instead, I felt strangely calm. Empty but not broken. Sad but not devastated. Maybe I'd been grieving for the past week. Processing the loss while gathering evidence and making plans. Maybe the shock had worn off and this was what acceptance felt like. I called Courtney. He's gone, I said when she answered. Are you okay? I think so. I told him I knew everything. He packed his stuff and left. I'm coming over. You don't have to. I'm already grabbing my keys. See you in 20 minutes. She hung up before I could protest. 23 minutes later, she was at my door with wine, ice cream, and her overnight bag. Emergency sleepover, she announced. We're going to talk. Cry if you need to, and make a plan for destroying him in divorce court. I laughed, actually laughed. I love you. I know. Now open this wine. Courtney and I stayed up until 2 a.m. We drank wine, ate ice cream, and went through all the evidence I gathered. She helped me organize everything into a timeline. Photos, emails, credit card statements, Harrison's reports. This is damning, she said, looking at it all spread across my coffee table. He's not going to walk away from this easily. I don't want to destroy him, I said. I just want what's fair. Fair is what you deserve after 9 years of marriage and 6 months of lies. Don't let guilt make you settle for less. She was right. I'd spent the past week feeling guilty for spying on Trevor, for gathering evidence, for planning my defense. But I hadn't done anything wrong. I protected myself. What about the house? Courtney asked. My name is on the deed. We bought it together, but I made the down payment for my inheritance. Ms. Foster says I have a strong claim. Good. What about retirement accounts? Split 50-50, probably. But his hidden credit card debt is his problem, not mine. We went through every detail. Assets, debts, future scenarios. By the time we finished, I had a clear picture of what divorce would look like financially. It wasn't pretty, but it was survivable. What about emotionally? Courtney asked gently, how are you really doing? I thought about it. I'm angry, hurt, betrayed, but also relieved. Is that weird? Part of me is almost grateful this happened. Why? Because now I know. The not knowing would have been worse. Living with suspicion and doubt. At least now it's real. I can deal with real. The next morning, Trevor called. I almost didn't answer, but Courtney convinced me to hear what he had to say. We need to talk about logistics, he said. His voice sounded tired. Like what? Bills, the mortgage, credit cards. We can't just stop living because our marriage ended. I've handled the mortgage already. My name is on the house. I'll continue paying it. What about joint credit cards? I've removed you as an authorized user on mine. You need to do the same with yours. We're separating our finances completely. Silence. Then, you've really thought this through? I had a week to think, while you were still lying to me. Yes, I've thought it through. I want to see you. Talk face to face. We need to figure out how to do this without destroying each other. I'll have my lawyer contact yours. We'll negotiate through them. Come on, we can be adults about this. We don't need lawyers fighting battles for us. You lost the right to ask me to trust you. Everything goes through lawyers now. That's not negotiable. Fine. His tone turned cold. If that's how you want it, that's how it has to be. He hung up. Courtney raised her eyebrows. Well, that didn't take long for his nice guy act to drop. He thought I'd be the devastated wife who'd let him control the situation. He's realizing I'm not. Good. Don't let him manipulate you. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Alexis. We should talk. I showed Courtney. Her eyes widened. Are you kidding me? She has the audacity to contact you. What should I do? Block her. Immediately. But curiosity got the better of me. I typed back. What do you want? Alexis's response came quickly. I just want you to know I never meant to hurt you. This wasn't about destroying your marriage. Trevor and I just fell in love. I stared at the message in disbelief. Courtney read over my shoulder and exploded. She never meant to hurt you? She's sleeping with your husband. What did she think would happen? I typed carefully. You've been seeing a married man for 6 months. Every choice you made hurt me. Don't pretend this was innocent. He told me the marriage was already over. That you guys were just going through the motions. That he was planning to leave anyway. My stomach turned. That's what he'd told her. That our marriage was dead. That I was the obstacle keeping them apart. Did he tell you he was looking at our family photos last week and telling me how much he loved me? Did he mention that he planned to wait until after our anniversary to tell me? He was lying to both of us. A longer pause this time. Then, I didn't know about the anniversary thing. There's probably a lot you don't know. He's really good at lying. You'll figure that out eventually. Trevor loves me. What we have is real. Trevor loved me too. Until he didn't. Until he found someone younger and more exciting. What makes you think you'll be different? No response. I waited 5 minutes, then put my phone down. She's delusional, Courtney said, thinking she's special, that she's different from you. She'll learn when he gets bored, when someone newer comes along. That's who he is now. I felt sorry for Alexis. Strangely enough, she thought she'd won something valuable. But she'd gotten a man who destroyed his marriage, who lied effortlessly, who hid his true self behind charm and empty promises. She was welcome to him. The divorce process moved quickly once lawyers got involved. Miss Foster was efficient and ruthless. She presented all my evidence, demanded a fair settlement, and didn't let Trevor's lawyer push us around. Trevor tried to claim he deserved half the house. Ms. Foster shut that down with documentation, showing my inheritance funded the down payment. He tried to argue for alimony. She presented evidence of his hidden credit card and affair expenses. He tried to negotiate for more of our retirement savings. She threatened to make the affair evidence public if he didn't settle fairly. 3 months after that crumpled receipt, we reached a settlement. I kept the house. We split retirement accounts 50-50. He took responsibility for his secret credit card debt. No alimony for either party. The day we signed the papers, I felt nothing. No sadness. No relief. Just emptiness where a marriage used to be. Trevor looked different. Thinner. Tired. He'd moved in with Alexis. I'd heard through mutual friends. It wasn't going well. Apparently, being the secret girlfriend was more exciting than being the actual girlfriend who had to deal with his dirty laundry and bad habits. "I'm sorry," he said as we left the lawyer's office. "For everything." "I know," I replied, "but sorry doesn't fix it. Do you think you'll ever forgive me?" I thought about it honestly. Maybe someday, but not today, and probably not anytime soon. He nodded. I deserve that. We walked to our separate cars. Separate lives. 15 years together, ending in a parking lot on a random Tuesday afternoon. I drove home, to my house now, not our house, and sat in the driveway for a few minutes. This was it. The end of one chapter and the beginning of another. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I started therapy. Not because I was falling apart, but because I wanted to understand why I'd missed the signs. Why I'd settle for comfort instead of demanding more. Why I'd trusted so completely that I'd stopped paying attention. My therapist, Dr. Angela Martinez, helped me see patterns I'd been blind to. How I'd made myself small to keep peace. How I'd ignore my intuition because confrontation felt uncomfortable. How I prioritized Trevor's happiness over my own needs. "You're not responsible for his choices," Dr. Martinez said during one session. "But you can take responsibility for how you showed up in the relationship. Not to blame yourself, but to grow." The work was hard, painful, but necessary. I also started rebuilding my life in small ways. I repainted the bedroom, changed the furniture arrangement, removed everything that reminded me of Trevor, made the house mine instead of ours. I reconnected with friends I neglected during my marriage. Started taking a pottery class on Tuesday nights. Joined a book club. Small steps toward rediscovering who I was outside of being someone's wife. Courtney was there through all of it, celebrating small victories, supporting me through hard days, reminding me that healing wasn't linear. "You're doing amazing," she said one evening over dinner. "Seriously, 6 months ago you were a mess. Now look at you." "I'm still a mess," I protested. "Just a functional one." "That's all any of us are," she laughed. "Functional messes doing our best." My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. My stomach clenched, worried it might be Alexis again. But it wasn't. It was Harrison, the investigator. "Thought you want to know. Trevor and Alexis broke up last week. Mutual friends say it got ugly. I showed Courtney. She grinned. Karma is real. I don't feel happy about it. I admitted, I just feel nothing." "That's growth," Courtney said. "You've moved on. His drama doesn't affect you anymore." She was right. Trevor's life was no longer my concern. His choices, his consequences, his problems. I'd taken back my power, my peace, my future. A year after finding that receipt, I was living a completely different life. The house was mine, decorated exactly how I wanted. My job had given me a promotion. My friendships were stronger than ever. I'd even started dating casually. Nothing serious. Just remembering how to enjoy someone's company without commitment or pressure. I ran into Trevor once, completely by accident, at a coffee shop downtown. He was alone, looking at his laptop, wearing sweatpants and an old t-shirt. He looked tired, ordinary, nothing like the successful, put-together man I'd married. He saw me and froze. For a moment, Neither of us moved. Then I walked over. "Hi," I said simply. "Hi." He closed his laptop quickly. "How are you?" "Good. Really good, actually." "You?" "Okay. Managing." He paused. "I heard you got a promotion. Congratulations." "Thank you." "I heard you." And Alexis broke up. He winced. Yeah, turns out sneaking around was the exciting part. Real life together was different. I imagine it was. An awkward silence. Then Trevor spoke quietly. "I was an idiot. I threw away something real for something that felt exciting. I know it's too late, but I want you to know I regret everything." "I appreciate that," I said honestly. "But regret doesn't change what happened. It just means you've learned from it. Have you forgiven me?" I thought about it. "I've forgiven you for me, not for you. I needed to let go of the anger so I could move forward. But that doesn't mean I've forgotten or that we'll ever be friends." He nodded sadly. "I understand. I hope you're happy. You deserve to be happy." "I am," I said, and I meant it. We said goodbye. I walked to my car feeling lighter than I had in months. Seeing Trevor hadn't hurt, hadn't triggered old wounds. He was just someone I used to know. Someone who taught me painful but valuable lessons about trust and intuition and self-worth. That evening, I called my mom. We'd grown closer over the past year. She'd been supportive through the divorce, never saying, "I told you so," even though she'd had reservations about Trevor from the beginning. I saw Trevor today. I told her. How did that feel? Fine. Completely fine. I think I've really moved on. "I'm proud of you, sweetheart. You handled this whole situation with so much grace and strength. You should be proud of yourself, too." I am. For the first time in a long time, I actually am. Looking back now, that crumpled receipt changed everything. One small detail that exposed months of betrayal. One piece of evidence that led to more evidence. One moment of paying attention that saved me from years of continued lies. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd thrown that receipt away without looking. If I'd stayed blind a little longer. If I believed Trevor's lies and let him control the narrative. I'd probably still be married. Still comfortable. Still trusting completely while he planned his exit. And when he finally left, I would have been blindsided, unprepared, financially vulnerable, and emotionally destroyed. Instead, I'd taken control, gathered evidence, protected myself, made strategic decisions instead of emotional ones. That receipt gave me power, knowledge, the ability to face betrayal on my own terms instead of his. The divorce was hard. The healing was harder, but both were necessary. I'd emerged stronger, wiser, more certain of who I was and what I deserved. I still taught Trevor's name to my younger self as a lesson. Never ignore your intuition. Never stop paying attention. Never sacrifice your peace for someone else's comfort. Never trust so completely that you become blind to reality. These days, I live differently. I trust but verify. I love but maintain boundaries. I commit but never lose myself. I've learned that healthy relationships require both people showing up honestly. Anything less isn't love, it's performance. My house is peaceful now. My life is mine. I wake up every morning grateful for that crumpled receipt. Grateful for the courage to look closely at that one small detail. Grateful that betrayal, however painful, led me to a better version of myself. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you becomes the best thing that ever happened. Not because the pain was worth it, but because you're worth fighting for, worth protecting, worth choosing. Trevor taught me what love isn't. Now I'm learning what love should be. Starting with loving myself enough to never settle for comfortable lies again. The receipt sits in a frame on my office desk now. A reminder, a trophy, a symbol of the moment I chose myself over comfort, truth over denial, and strength over devastation. One small detail exposed a betrayal that changed my life forever. But more importantly, it revealed the strength I didn't know I had, the courage to face hard truths, the wisdom to protect myself, the resilience to rebuild. And that changed everything. I'm not the woman who found that receipt anymore. I'm someone better, someone stronger, someone who knows her worth and refuses to accept anything less than honest, respectful, authentic love. The betrayal broke my marriage, but it didn't break me. Instead, it freed me, and for that, I'm grateful.